For the record, we're not scared to say nothing. Sedan, shout out to God MC. Baby girl, she was born in poverty, a crazy girl. Product of the cold street at age 12. She got a boyfriend, they do it all the time like she was a toy then at SS2. She's tested pregnant, she's dropping out of school cause her dad is a messenger. They say life is crazy, I'm passing through the pain every day so my eyes is hazy. I'm going to school, trying to learn something, but I know no book cause I ain't thought nothing. My teacher is hungry, he's paid in change. Matter of fact, he's waiting for his paying day. So he goes on a strike and I'm left in the streets. I'm bugged all day by EFCC cause my money's in the West Indies or Yankees thing on the internet. That's the recipe, I gotta swindle, man. I need money in my drawers. Now this con man calling us why boys. They praising Ribadu, he's so hard to handle. Tell him go get IBB. I'm a street Mike, I'm in the street every day and night trying to get the cheese, I'm devious. I make you bleed like a chick on a period. So don't stop my shine, man. Cause my blood with a thick rhyme, man. Let's walk, let's talk. Street mics! I got a lot on my mind. These schools got me speaking my mind. Street mics! I go young.
What's going on, African family? Welcome back to the African Wahala. It's been a while. Today, it's going to be a day of praises. I have nothing but admiration for this man, Omoyele Sowore. He has... Listen, when a lot of people think about Nigeria, they think about failure. They are looking to make fun of us. They imagine a hopeless situation. When people think about Nigeria, we've become the laughingstock of the world. And it's a shame. But not every one of us is a coward. I'm not going to speak about myself, but I'm here to give praises and admiration to this man, Omoyele Sowore. Sowore stands out different amongst Nigerians. He has decided to face the hegemony head on. Head on. Now, he's doing it in a different way. You see, one of the parts that I diverge in my thought process with Sowore is that Sowore doesn't believe in a revolution that is implemented by the military. So when you have a conversation with him about what is going on in the AES, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, he does not necessarily agree, but he's also not disagreeing. And I can also understand why he thinks that way. It's because of our experience with the military. You see, we've also had multiple military coups in Nigeria 4 times, and Nigeria only got worse. But in the case of Burkina Faso, you can clearly tell that they took the right choice. They made the right choice by implementing a revolution through a military coup. But that same process cannot work in Nigeria. So I actually have to agree with Sowore to an extent, even though we diverge in our thought process as far as the revolution going on in the AES. But I still agree with him that that same process cannot be implemented in Nigeria successfully. And it's because the Nigerian military is not different from the average Nigerian politician, extremely corrupt. Now, I digress. Sowore has decided to face the system and implement a revolution that will clean up the system, completely overhaul the system and the way we run our society. Because it's not a secret that the way we run our society has led us to this mess that we are in. And we still continue to toe that path. We keep on trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, but it's never going to work. I would also say one more thing that I don't necessarily agree with Sowore. And the thing is, I'm a little bit skeptical if anybody can fix Nigeria at this point. To be honest, I'm just being honest, because the destruction has been ongoing for so long. I'm talking about easily 40 years non-stop of destruction. The destruction has been going on for so long that today, even an average Nigerian has been conditioned to contribute to the destruction of the country. So we now have a mess, a self-destructive entity as a so-called country. So that's one of the things that I might say that maybe I don't know, I'm skeptical, but within all the chaos, within all the hopelessness, if there is any pathway that I feel like I should follow, it still has to be through Sowore because he is the man that has decided to face the hegemony square on. And he has suffered the consequences. You see, his family members, they live in another country in the United States, and he has had to not be with them for so long because he's facing the hegemony in Nigeria square on. He has suffered. He has suffered the consequences. He has been brutalized multiple times. He has been locked up multiple times. Locked up, released on bail. He's going to the courts every single day. There are so many politicians that have fake cases against him. So he has to go to the court process. You see, one of the failed aspects of Nigeria is the judiciary, where people no longer have faith because the judiciary process it does not deliver justice. But within that injustice of a judiciary system, Sowore still decides to utilize that system, to force that system to clean up. And he is actually successful. And that's why I salute Sowore. You see, the truth is, if an average Nigerian truly wants something that can lead to a change, this is the guy that they should support. Because there is really nobody else. Let's be honest with ourselves. Is there any other individual in Nigeria that has shown you over time that he cannot be bought? You see, everybody has a price. But in the case of Sowore, he has proven over time to everybody that he doesn't have a price. The only price that he has is justice. He wants us to have a system where justice can be obtainable by everyone. And he has been doing this consistently for at least 30 years. So today there was a remarkable story. The Inspector General of Police in Nigeria, Kayode Egbetokun. Egbetokun is the guy that Sowore and him, they've been clashing for the longest time, and it's for the same reason. Sowore called him an illegal IGP, Inspector General of Police. He's been calling him an illegal IGP for 2 years since the guy was appointed as the IG. The reason why he was appointed as the IG is so that he can perform the duties for the APC, the ruling government. Because the way it works in Nigeria, not just Nigeria, many other African countries, we saw what happened in Uganda recently, where the leadership, the government takes control of the key institutions so that the chances of them being toppled is reduced. And that's exactly what is going on in Nigeria. So the government took over the police institution that is supposed to provide security for the citizens and installed someone in that position illegally. So Sowore called him an illegal IGP. The IGP and his errand boys, they always have boys that perform their illegal activities for them. They decided to take Sowore to the court. I'm pretty sure they've tried to assassinate him. They were unsuccessful. So they decided to take him to the court. The court threw out the case. They claimed that he was cyberbullying the IGP. And this is the kind of person that, listen, if you are the IG of police in Nigeria, man, you have so much power, right? The only person that you are answerable to is the president. And you understand how much power the president of Nigeria has. It's ridiculous. Nigeria is supposed to be practicing a federation system where power is devolved among different regions. But unfortunately, it's not a federation. Nigeria is a unitary system of government where the power structure is centered in the middle with the executive arm of government. And that wasn't the agreement of the creation of Nigeria in the first place. And considering the diversity and the complex nature of Nigeria, such a system is never going to work. But they forced it upon us. And that's one of the reasons why we remain perpetually hopeless. We're just going round and round in circles, headed no direction. So this IGP guy, Sowore called him illegal for the longest time. And then today he was released. He was relieved of his position. When this guy was relieved of his position, a lot of people realized that, boy, it seems like it's better for us to simply say our minds and damn the consequences. Because the truth is, if you say your mind, you stand up against, you resist oppression. You might suffer the consequences on a temporary basis. You might even suffer it permanently, because when you're dealing with heartless criminals, they can make you permanently disappear. It's possible. They can harm your family. They can do all types of crazy stuff. But everybody is going to perish at some point. And the most honorable thing that you can do as a human being, in my opinion, the most honorable thing that you can do is to stand up for something and not just fall for anything. And one thing that I've learned from Sowore is it's better you stand up for justice. Stand up for what you believe in. You might suffer the consequences, but you are on the right path. It's better you stand up for something, because if you don't, you're going to fall for everything. You see, the people that get respected, the people that are respected by the hegemony, the corrupt politicians in power, are people that stand up for something. People like Sowore, you see, they are the ones that get respected. They are the ones that strike fear in the hearts of the corrupt hegemony, the corrupt politicians. But you see, the regular people that simply fall in line, they conform to the system, they allow themselves to be stepped on, to be subjugated, just so that they can get some crumbs off the table of the corrupt politicians. They never get respected. You are never going to be respected if you stand up for nothing. But if you choose to stand up for something, especially if you choose to resist oppression, you choose to resist corruption, you are going to be respected. And even if you suffer the consequences because of your choices, because you decided to stand up against oppression, and you suffer the consequences, which is usually illegal. When I say suffer the consequences, I'm talking about maybe they illegally lock you up in prison, or they make you permanently disappear, because that's what they do. And it's not just in Nigeria, it's all over the world. That's what corrupt, powerful people do. They make their critics suffer. But guess what? If you don't suffer the consequences, you are going to be respected, and you are going to be the one that controls the narrative at some point. You see, Sowore also decided to jump into the political game. He decided to start running for presidency since 2019. People make fun of him that he only gets a couple of votes. You see, the average Nigerian, their mindset is such that they love cloud chasing. And I have to use the word they, because I don't fall in that category. They love cloud chasing. They love popularity. Listen, an average Nigerian will be against Sowore for trying to become their president, even though they can see the track record that this guy has been standing up against corruption, standing up against injustice for 30 years. But they would rather go against him because he is not super wealthy, he's not popular, he doesn't tick their boxes of clout chase. That's pretty much what it is. I'll give you guys a typical example. You think about a wealthy individual like Dangote. You see Aliko Dangote, or you think about Tony Elumelu. If those two guys decide to run for presidency, the same criteria that Nigerians are using as a obstacle for Sowore, they wouldn't put those same criteria for those two guys that I just mentioned, because they have money. You see, an average Nigerian is going to look at Sowore and they're going to be like, oh, Sowore should go and run for Senate or run for governor before thinking of running for presidency. He needs to gain some experience as a governor. It sounds like a logical approach, but within the Nigerian system, it's not a logical approach, because there is nothing logical about Nigeria. As a governor, you can get thrown out by the president. It's crazy, I understand. It's supposed to be a federation where people vote for their governors, but the way the power structure is in Nigeria, as a governor, you can get thrown out by the president, even though you were elected by the people. So why should Sowore belittle himself to go run for a governorship position when he can easily be thrown out from that position? And that's why he's gunning for the top. And he has made it clear that once I get into the position of authority, once I become the president of Nigeria, we are going to overhaul the constitution. We're going to throw it into the garbage and create a brand new constitution that has the input of the people, the input of the citizens. Because the current constitution that we have was created by military dictators, corrupt military dictators. And that constitution is made to keep Nigerians enslaved. And they've never been able to get rid of that constitution since 1999. We're talking about 27 years. Sowore, one of the first things he said is, I'm going to get rid of the constitution and we are going to try to fix this country. All these corrupt politicians, we're going to make sure that they are uncomfortable. They are going to have to run away or they will end up in prison, and they are going to cough out all the money that they stole. And truth be told, an average Nigerian believes that he will do that. Let's be honest with ourselves. Even the Nigerians that criticize him, they believe he's going to do that because they've seen the track record. However, they would rather follow popularity. They would rather clout chase, because an average Nigerian has been mentally conditioned to become a clout chaser. An average Nigerian has now been mentally conditioned to contribute towards the destruction of Nigeria. But Sowore is different. Sowore, with the illegal IGP calling him out for years, and eventually the IG got dismissed. You see, an average Nigerian cannot pull off that stunt. Even the most powerful politicians, many of them, they can't pull that stunt to be calling someone in such a position illegal. Yes, truthfully, the IG was illegal, but you wouldn't really have the balls to call him illegal, because if you do so, you risk being punished. But that wasn't the case for Sowore. He said, damn the consequences, I'm going to call this guy illegal. An average Nigerian, after the incident with the IGP that was relieved of his position, a lot of Nigerians are beginning to speak up. They're like, man, this Sowore guy, bro, he's the best. Let's look at his comments. Sowore is the leader that you need when going to battle, because people are used to the status quo. They are scared of him and his radical ideas. And that's true, because Sowore is radical. He's radical. He doesn't mince his words. He's not playing. He lets everybody know his intentions. Multiple powerful people have tried to bribe him to bring him on their side because they fear him. And he has turned them down. And these days, they can't even approach him, because if you approach Sowore, the entire world is going to know, because he's going to put it on social media that, hey, this powerful politician reached out to me, offered me this amount of money to come join him so that they can become more powerful. Sowore is going to expose you. So they run away from him. And I can't imagine what would happen if Sowore becomes the president. Let me complete this information. This guy says, imagine what a Sowore presidency will look like in 1 year. Leave your bias and think about it for a moment. I think what's going to happen if Sowore becomes the president of Nigeria for 1 year, this is my prediction. Half of the establishments, I'm talking about the people that have been in power for the last 40, 50 years, people that have refused to leave power, the people that collaborate with imperialists to sell us off for cheap, they maintain the status quo that has kept Nigeria in bondage. Half of those people would run away. They're going to go on exile immediately. You see, they all have private jets, so it's going to be easy for them to run away. Or they'll simply cross the border into Benin Republic and just fly to a safe country, because they would have to go to jail for their crimes against Nigeria. They would have to go to jail. I'm talking about these corrupt politicians. So if Sowore becomes the president of Nigeria, one thing is a bunch of people will be trying to assassinate him because he is a massive threat to the status quo. And if we all can agree on anything, the status quo of Nigeria is messed up. Okay. Nobody is proud of Nigeria. Nigerians are not proud of Nigeria. Other Africans are not proud of Nigeria. Nigeria is the laughing stock of Africa. So the status quo of Nigeria has to go. This lady here says, sometimes I wish it was Sowore that had Peter Obi's momentum. Boy, I need to talk about Peter Obi. You see, Obi is one of the manifestations of the clout chasing nature of Nigerians. Like I said, an average Nigerian, their mindset is to follow popularity. These guys that are following Obi, you know why they are following Obi for the most part? Because Obi is soft spoken. He'll be like, "Oh, how are you? Good morning, sir. Oh, he's my elder. He's my mentor. He's my senior brother. You see, the government needs consumption to..." Listen, man, I'm just trying to make fun of Obi. I really don't have any respect for him. And I know some of you guys, you're going to be upset with me. And that's fine. Be upset with me because I don't have any respect for Obi. The reason I don't have any respect for Obi is because he was a governor in Nigeria for 8 years. The state that he is a governor of, that he was a governor of, the state is messed up, just like every other part of Nigeria. Can you name anything spectacular about Anambra State? I'm not a kid, bro. When Obi was the governor of Nigeria, of Anambra State, I was a full-grown adult at that time. I knew that everything about Nigeria was messed up. As at that time, I already knew. So if Anambra had stood out, we would have heard about it, but we never heard anything about it. Plus, there are so many other clear evidences to prove that Anambra is not different from any other part of Nigeria. It's just as messed up as where I'm from. So I have no respect for anybody that has been in control of such a place for 8 years. And if Nigerians are like, "Oh, we just like his humble nature," meanwhile, they are hypocrites because they are not even humble. You are not humble, but you're pretending to like someone that pretends to be humble, someone that clearly doesn't have an ideology, moves from one political party to another in a desperate bid to get into power. Is that the kind of person that you expect to put a dent in this hopeless situation? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, within the fake democratic process that we are practicing, everybody has their choice to make. So feel free, choose your Obi. The conversation about Obi has been so loud since 2023, 2022. That's when he came into the picture, really. Because Buhari had punished us for 8 years. And then emotionally, a lot of Nigerians decided to put their support behind Obi. The same way in 2015, Nigerians emotionally put their support behind Buhari because PDP had punished us for so long. Now, when they were putting their support behind Buhari, people like me were like, "Are you kidding me, bro? Are you kidding me? Buhari? How do you go from PDP to Buhari? This guy is going to punish you." Lo and behold, we were proven right. 8 years later, Buhari destroyed the last hope about Nigeria. Once again, Nigerians about to do the same thing, trying to put their support behind Peter Obi. But this is not even about Peter Obi. Let's go to the comment here. This individual says, "Agreed. There is a reason he doesn't. He is not cut out for building coalition. He is a guerrilla warrior by nature. That's why Iniebe Effiong is correct in his take. Sowore is a political radical, which isn't exactly a good CV for popular movement in a conservative society." First off, Nigeria is not even a conservative society. We are a free-for-all society, a clout-chasing society. We copy what everybody else does around the world. We always hope and aspire to become someone else. We are not real. There is nothing real about us. There is nothing natural about us. We don't speak our language any longer. We now strictly listen. Let me phrase this correctly. Majority of us strictly follow foreign religions. Majority of us strictly follow foreign cultural practices. We have severe inferiority complex and low self esteem collectively, and we are always looking up to people that don't give a damn about us. There is nothing conservative about Nigeria. If Nigeria was a conservative society, I mean, just go on social media. Thank God for social media. You can see the way we behave on social media. So that statement about Nigeria being a conservative society is not correct. It's not the truth. And if your point is Sowore being a political radical is not a good approach for a conservative society, then you have everything misconstrued. You're just confused. Okay. And I understand because majority of Nigerians are also confused. I mean, if you get beaten up for so long, you're probably going to be confused at some point. So this lady says, this is true. I just wish Peter Obi had a bit of craze in him. Nigeria is too rugged to play good. Why are you wishing Obi was someone else? Obi is who Obi is. Obi already told you guys that, listen, Atiku is my mentor. I'm not going to form a coalition with El Rufai and Malami. But you see, because Nigerians are clout chasers, how do you follow? Listen, this is the crazy thing that I ask them and they never have an answer to. These guys that follow Peter Obi. Let's use El Rufai as an example. El Rufai is now a member of Peter Obi's party. They are in the same political party, ADC. El Rufai was a top government official in the government of Buhari, APC. After Buhari illegally passed the baton to Tinubu, El Rufai stayed in the APC, followed Tinubu to Chatham House, London, because they are slaves. You see, the Nigerian political elites, they are slaves. That's why they have to go to London to campaign for who is going to become the president of Nigeria. Can you imagine that level of low self-esteem? Just imagine the United Kingdom about to have a prime ministerial voting situation, and they have to travel. The prime minister, the contestants for the prime minister have to travel to Nigeria to explain why they want to become the prime minister of the UK. And that's exactly what the Nigerian president and these politicians do. So Obi went to London, Tinubu went to London. They had to go report to their slave masters. And there, El Rufai followed Tinubu to London, Chatham House. There, he was the spokesperson for Tinubu. He was like, oh man, Tinubu, Ashiwaju is going to be a great leader. Ashiwa, because they are liars. Fast forward a year later, they became enemies. El Rufai and Tinubu became enemies. Once they became enemies, El Rufai decided to clout chase. Like I said, Nigerians are clout chasers. He decided to clout chase Peter Obi's popularity because Peter Obi garnered popularity from the clout chasing Nigerians. And then he joined the political party that Peter Obi eventually joined. Nigerians were crying about El Rufai for the longest time. Once El Rufai and Peter Obi shook their hands and formed a coalition, his sins were forgiven by Nigerians. That's how you know that these people are something else, bro. How do you just forget the pain and suffering that you just went for the last 8 years? You just throw that into the garbage and you're like, it's Peter Obi or nothing. You've become zombies, bro. That's how zombies behave. You're not able to think for yourself. If your enemy is trying to get into the government and you support it, what do you think is going to happen to you? If Peter Obi becomes the president of Nigeria, what do you think is going to happen to El Rufai? He's going to be a part of the government. He might become the next minister of defense. He might become the attorney general of the federation. I don't know how that works, but he's going to be in one of the top political positions. So what do you think is going to happen? You want a repeat of Buhari? Because El Rufai was a leader under Buhari's administration. They completely destroyed Nigeria. Now you're trying to bring him back. And that's just one example. El Rufai is just one example. There is Aregbe-Shola, a guy that bankrupted the state, a corrupt guy that was also an APC member. became enemies with Tinubu, decided to join ADC because he's a clout chaser. There is Atiku Abubakar that you guys were going against in the last election. But now Atiku and Obi have formed a coalition. You guys are supporting it. Because you guys, I just don't get it, bro. I just don't get it. But it is what it is. It's part of the reasons why we keep on doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result collectively. But some of us have decided, no, we are not going to be doing that. We would rather put our support behind Sowore because clearly he stands out from the cloud of cloud chasers. This lady says, Nigeria is too corrupt to not be subtle and a little bit capable of playing dirty. Obi's true nature is honorable. I don't care about all this shit, bro. You guys are just cloud chasers. So the bottom line is, listen. Omoyele Sowore, I'm so proud of him. I hope Nigerians slowly start using their brains and put their support behind someone like this. What is eventually going to happen? My prediction. This is my prediction, and I'm going to sign out from this live stream. What's going to happen is the clout chasing nature of Nigerians, the clout chasing nature of Nigeria will slowly dwindle, slowly diminish. The support that Nigerians are putting behind all these establishment politicians, at some point, it's going to swing towards the direction of a revolution. Because you can't keep on doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Plus, most of the people's lives have become miserable, and it's going on. It's ongoing on a perpetual basis. And for that reason, people are just tired. And the natural effect, the natural, how do I describe this now? The natural way for things to go when people have become hopeless is they either be completely subjugated, but that's going to be difficult now in 2026 because now we're in the age of information. Everybody has access to information. So that's probably going to be very difficult to happen. When I say completely subjugated, I'm talking about like colonization part 2. And do not think it's impossible because we are vulnerable. We are weak. We can't defend ourselves. We don't even have the weapons or the technical know-how to defend ourselves. The rest of the world has, except us. Some African countries are slowly beginning to improve themselves, but we aren't. So we are vulnerable. We are easily picked out. That's why Donald Trump was able to drop bombs without the consent of us. While some Nigerians were sleeping, innocent women and children, they started hearing loud bangs, and those were American bombs being dropped in Nigeria, claiming they were coming to save Christians from a genocide. Turns out we are all victims of a genocide in the country, not just Christians. Christians, Muslims, everybody is a victim of a genocide. Because these days, you turn on the news, you find 300 people kidnapped. Nobody talks about it. We just go about our regular day. And the next thing we say is, oh, God, God, please don't let it happen to me and my family. Oh, God. We've become pathetic and weak. So my prediction is simple. The hopelessness is either going to lead us into colonization part 2, but many of us are going to continue to resist that. The second possible outcome is more people are going to swing towards a revolution, towards a complete overhaul of the system. More people, and people are easily, when the crowd is building up, it just naturally expands. And to be fair, that cloud chasing nature of our collective might even be an advantage, because when a lot of people see their friends, their peers, their mates joining a revolutionary pathway, they are also going to follow because they have a clout chasing nature. So it might actually be to our benefit, the clout chasing nature, when that happens. So that's my prediction. It's either going to be recolonization part 2 or an absolute revolution. But let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm going to be signing out. Thank you for joining the African Wahala. Big shout out to Mr. Omoyele Sowore, thank you for being a revolutionary. Thank you for putting some hope, for bringing some hope into the system. Let me leave you guys with this beautiful song, revolutionary music from Sowore from a year ago.
Go. Must go. Egbeto must go. Nigerians are saying Egbeto must go. Egbeto must go. Egbeto must go. Nigerians are saying Egbeto must go. Egbeto must go. Egbeto must go. Nigerians are saying Egbeto must go. Christmas version. Must go.
Egbeto
Must
must go.
go. Nigerians
Nigerians
are
are
saying
singing. Egbeto
Egbeto must
must
go.
go.
Thank you guys. We just want to showcase our musical talents.
The guy has a great sense of humor, eh? Singing Egbe Tokun must go. That was a year ago, and today Egbe Tokun is gone. And that's how eventually we're going to get rid of this hopeless system. Thank you for watching. Peace.